Question 13. We're given a map of France and we're told that 1 centimetre represents 80 kilometres in real life. The first question says, estimate the time that it would take to drive from Paris to Marseille. Assume that the road is straight and you're travelling at an average speed of 100 kilometres per hour. So this is a speed, distance, time question. So I'm going to draw out my triangle for speed, distance, time. Remembering that this line means divide, this line means times. And I'm trying to find the time. So time equals, if we cover it up, we always read top going down. So it's distance divided by speed. So this is my first problem. I don't know my distance. I do know the speed is 100 kilometers per hour. So it's the distance part I need to work out. So looking back at my map, we need to work out the distance from Paris to Marseille. Now it does actually say in the question, assume that the road is straight. So with my ruler, I'm going to draw a straight line between Paris and Marseille. And I need to measure the distance. Now, there's a bit of a problem when we're measuring this because the dot on the map is very large. So arguably, there's quite a few different places where you can actually put your ruler. Okay, I would say try and keep things easy for yourself. It's easier to work with whole numbers than it is with a decimal. So I can make this measurement a whole number. So starting at more or less at the top of this circle and going to more or less to the bottom of this circle, this is 8 centimeters. Now, obviously, I can't just make up values. So if my line was just this long, I would have to read off in decimals. But because it is such a wide circle in the mark scheme, there will be a range of different answers I'll accept. So having whole numbers arguably is correct looking at this. So it's 8 centimeters. And from the map, we were told that 1 centimeter was worth 80 kilometers. So therefore 8 centimeters must be 8 times 80, which is 8 times 8 is 64, add a 0 in the end. So it must be 640 kilometers. So my time would be 640 kilometers, and I'm dividing by 100 kilometers per hour. So 640 divided by 100 would give me 6.4, and because it was kilometers per hour, that answer would be in hours. I want to give my answer in hours, so I just give 6.4. Just to show you on the mark scheme, because it's saying about a range of different answers I'll accept. So it says here, measure, and it has a square brackets. This means that the examiner, although I measured my line to be 8 centimeters, the examiner would actually accept any answer between 8 and 8.4, which means actually, if you were to say it's 7 point something, then it would be wrong. They wouldn't give you the mark. Whatever your value is between 8 and 8.4, you need to times it by 80. You then need to divide it by 100, just like we've done. And therefore, the final answer has to be between 6.4 if you use the 8 and 6.72 if you use the 8.4. They would also accept you rounding down or up, providing that you've got all the other parts correct. In part B, it then says comment on how each assumption affects the accuracy of your estimate. So remember the two assumptions. It's not very clear in this, but this is your first assumption, this is the second assumption. So the first assumption was that the road is straight. So what you need to ask yourself, what would happen if that was wrong? So if this road was not straight, which is very likely to be the case, it's very unlikely to be one straight road between Paris and Marseille, then the actual distance would be longer. And if the distance is longer, so say it wasn't 640, say it's more like 800 or 1,000 kilometers, then obviously the average time would be higher. So the time so something to that effect. The second assumption was that the average speed was 100 kilometers per hour. So if the average speed was less than 100, then the time would be longer also. So comparing with this with the mark scheme, there's different ways of saying the same thing. First assumption, so the estimate is low as the road is not straight, something like that, or equivalent. So in other words, the estimate for the time travelled, the 6.2, so the 6.4 hours, that's too low, so it should actually be much higher than that, because the road is not straight. That's what we said. And the second bit, they would give you the mark either way. So if you said that the average speed was lower, so you said that actually they travelled at less than 100, then the estimate is low, so it would actually take them longer. If you said that the average speed was actually going to be higher than 100, so they were travelling at 120 or 150 kilometers per hour, then the estimate would be high, so the actual time travelled would be lower. So either of those would be able to give you the mark as long as you explained what the effect would be on your answer.